Good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are. Everyone, my name is Tom Collihew. In today's spoiler warning, we're going to go into quite some detail on AEW, so it's going to be a little different from our usual. We are basically still seeing it through the frame of WWE. Thank you, Brandon, for renewing your subscription on Twitch for a 10th month total. Thank you kindly, and welcome to the show. We will be talking about MJF primarily, though we're also going to be talking about Jon Moxley and anyone else that AEW may have interest in, including some people who've been in the WWE before, who the WWE really want back. We're also going to be looking at this through a frame of reference to many wrestling journalists and wrestling journalism companies who cannot get it together with their reports, particularly about MJF, when the contract is, what contracts he's turned down or not turned down, or why he's doing this, that or the other. It is amazing seeing the same companies report two completely different things. It's baffling in so many ways. So we're going to be putting a lot of focus into AEW today. That may seem a little unusual for this here show. It kind of is. I kind of get it. But we are where we are on this one, and I'm looking forward to jumping in and seeing how things go in that regard. So without any further ado, my name is Tom Collihew. I'm your host for today's spoiler warning. This is exclusive wrestling news. WWE, AEW, Impact, anything I get news for, I am happy to share. And of course, for anyone currently watching on YouTube, please do remember that you can help support the channel in some number of ways. The easiest way to do so is, of course, to give a thumbs up, so a like to the video. Just with one little thumbs up can make a massive difference to this show. And, of course, you also have the option of clicking subscribe, which is a big help as well in the growth of the channel. Let's jump into it then, because this is Ask Me Anything. I will be answering all of the questions and comments that come in. First and foremost, as regards MJF, his contract is not close to expired. His contract does run for roughly another year and a half, late 2023, early 2024. He has been in negotiation with Tony Khan as regards a new contract. However, the situation has not been the most fruitful. Tony Khan is trying to suggest to separate wrestling journalists that he will pay through the teeth for MJF. The main reason that he's willing to have that conversation is because the WWE have already made it very clear through many sources, including going direct to MJF himself, but quietly, as I've mentioned previously, that they are not just interested, they are very, very interested and will pay whatever it takes to get hold of the man himself. They want MJF, and they will, as mentioned, move heaven and earth to get the man. Now, as regards MJF himself, it is believed that his preference is to stay with AEW, and AEW have a variety of different options in order to convince him to stay. The most popular one at the moment is to treat him like a top star. That is what he is looking for at the moment, and that is what Tony Khan is inclined to give him. When I say top level star, this means championships, this means main events, this means the top feuds. As mentioned, Tony Khan is inclined to provide this, so don't be too surprised if the next AEW champion is MJF. As regards WWE interest, the WWE are extremely interested in MJF and are very, very willing to do whatever it takes to convince MJF to come to the WWE. Now, quickly, before we go any further, I do want to discuss a number of other people that the WWE are interested in. I've already spoken at length about Jon Moxley, but just to clarify, there is a lot of interest from the WWE in Jon Moxley. They will pay, and I quote, ridiculous money in order to ensure that they are the ones to sign him. From what I can tell, Jon Moxley himself, not that interested, but interested enough to entertain an offer. The WWE are currently putting something together. Jon Moxley's contract is due to expire in AEW, and it is not believed that AEW will be able to pay him as much as he wants, or as much of a raise as he is looking for. There are a number of other people in AEW whose position is tenuous at the moment. There's a couple of people in major programs, particularly, let's just say, people in and around mid-tier championships, who've been there for a while, but are on the verge of leaving at this point because of a lack of future offers. There is a lot of people right now waiting for contract offers from AEW. Meanwhile, AEW, and here's the exclusive for you, have been charged with cutting costs, particularly with a new TV deal around the way, so that they look more profitable, or in this case, so that they look profitable. The lack of profitability, as we did discuss in the financial analysis recently, is hampering their ability to get a new TV deal. And a new TV deal is the first and foremost thing that they are looking for from AEW as we speak. There are other people that the WWE are interested in, primarily people that have already been in the WWE. There are a number of names such as Adam Cole. They would very much like to have him back. Daniel Bryan, and you guessed it, CM Punk. But there's also a few people who've never been to the WWE, at least for anything serious. Thunder Rosa is genuinely the top of the list at the moment for WWE interest in AEW talent. They want Thunder Rosa first and foremost, forsaking all of us. As we get into the section where I answer questions and communicate with you the good viewership that I have here, please do remember to hit like on the YouTube video and subscribe if you haven't already. Plus, we have an announcement tweet that has gone live 5 minutes ago on my Twitter. If you could share that, I'd be very, very grateful. Sai says, hey Tom, hey all. Intriguing title for today's show. It's a bit different from what I was previously going for, but I finally got some news from AEW and I was very, very keen to share it. Spider-Boss says, hello Tom, what is the plan for Bianca's title reign? To reign supreme for a little while and lose eventually around about Survivor Series time, in and around. Spider-Boss says, I wonder why Meltzer doesn't care about ratings and demos now that AEW gets low ratings. I don't think he ever particularly cared. Brian Alvarez is the guy who posted the ratings. Not everyone from Wrestling Observer cares that much. Zaman says, hey Tom, really excited Sasha is on Raw tonight. Backstage are released another female talent today whose contract expired. Do you mean AEW female talent? Because there hasn't been anyone new released today from AEW, certainly not released, more of a contract expiry. Ed says, hey Tom, hello Ed, great to see you mate, really happy to see you. KJ says, what's up Tom, welcome KJ. Simon says, AEW female talent released today, contract expired. I'm not aware of any AEW talent that was released today. Simon clarifies, Kayla Rossell, her name released today. Kayla Rossell was not released today. Kayla Rossell was released a while ago. Noob says, hello Tom, how are you doing today? Doing very well, thank you. It's been a rough day at work, admittedly, but my formal promotion went through today and I'm now earning more than I've ever made in my entire life. So it was a hectic day, it was a busy day, but I had to earn that. I had to earn it. Spider-Boss says, Dave Meltzer used to talk about ratings and demos. Now AEW get low ratings, Meltzer doesn't say anything about it. Once again, I'm not aware that Dave Meltzer ever cared all that much about ratings. He talked about it, but that's because he was in a podcast which was held up by Brian Alvarez, who would usually lead the conversation. One thing I have to say, particularly with what's coming out at the moment, if, for example, you see a report saying Drew McIntyre would love to face Tyson Fury, chances are what's not there is the journalist in question saying, hey Drew, would you like to face Tyson Fury? And Drew going, yeah, I guess. It's called headline generating, it's called clickbait, and all of them do it. Sean says, good evening to you, Tom. Welcome, Sean. Great to see you, mate. Spider-Boss says, if Tony Khan would treat MJF as a top star, MJF would be the one challenging Handman Adam Page. Yeah, that's correct. And that is very likely to happen very, very soon. Nelson Romano says, do you think Bobby Roode, AJ Styles and Abyss appear on Slammiversary or at least send a video? No, and yes. Simon says, I would really like Mox to come back home to the WWE, become the WWE champion for a second time. Will Mox get Wildfing as his entrance song in the WWE? Simon, you're assuming that Moxley is coming back to the WWE first and foremost. You can't ask me what entrance music he's going to have in a company that he doesn't work for. Sean says, there's a chance Moxley doesn't come back. Yeah, I've got to be clear. In no way am I sat here saying Jon Moxley is definitely returning to the WWE. It is not possible for anyone to report that with any confidence right now. Anyone who does report right now that Jon Moxley is going to the WWE is guessing. They are guessing. And if it ever happens, even 5 years from now, they will sit there and say, I was right, I was definitely right. We have to consider that as a possibility. There's every chance Jon Moxley is going to re-sign with AEW. Just at the moment, with AEW's purse strings seemingly tied, it seems less likely than a WWE return. That said, we are where we are. Spider Boss says, do you think CM Punk has been a financial flop for AEW as an investment? No, not at all. Not at all. CM Punk launched AEW Rampage. He was the prime reason that show did as well as it did when it did. The issue, as much as anything, while they've sold a lot of t-shirts, AEW itself is struggling financially. If you want to talk financial flop, it's not an individual wrestler. The company is the problem right now. As I've said previously, AEW is not making money. It's not. It just is not making money. And because of the fact that it's not making any money at the moment, or at least its profitability is very, very low right now, that's the issue. That's the situation. They are spending more than they're making. You can't blame an individual wrestler, but you can sure blame the guy at the top. KJ says, Rosa over Baker. Wow, yeah. They would rather Thunder Rosa at the moment than Britt Baker. Simon says, all the above talents under long-term AEW contracts, though. Yeah, but that doesn't change the fact that WWE are interested. WWE have historically held major interest in Jay White. That doesn't mean he's going to turn up tomorrow. You do have to consider the fact that sometimes I reach out and I say, who are WWE interested in? They'll give me names. If they had to wait for people to be out of contract, the only people they could say is people that they've already fired. Alyssa Stansbury, welcome. Says, is this the Cody Rhodes effect joining WWE? Yes and no. The Cody Rhodes effect was very strong and certainly ignited the passions of a lot of people in AEW who might have been considering a move at the time, and that's something that certainly attracted the interest of a lot of different individuals. However, Cody Rhodes at the moment is not the top guy. Even though he's being treated as the top guy internally, he's not visibly the top guy. Visibly the top guy is Seth Rollins. So we won't see the Cody Rhodes effect until there's championships in his hand, and the WWE may or may not be waiting to see if someone else wants to come in first. Cheyenne the Mystery says, is there a chance of Moxley coming back to WWE or no? Yes, there is a chance. To be clear here, when I say there's a chance, I'm not saying it's definitely going to happen. I feel once again that I need to clarify this. There is a chance that that happens. There is also a chance that Jon Moxley remains with AEW and signs a new deal. There is also a chance that Jon Moxley leaves AEW and goes somewhere else. He would happily wrestle in New Japan again. He had a great time there. Tanner says, Tom Colahue, welcome. Tanner, how you doing, mate? I just want to be clear. What I'm saying here is that the WWE are interested. I'm not giving you massive exclusive contract news. Just want to be clear on that one. If you are watching on YouTube, please remember to hit that thumbs up. That like button can make a massive difference in the growth of the channel. We have 21 viewers right now and only 8 likes, so a couple more would go a huge distance. In addition, please remember to subscribe if you haven't already. We are currently at 1117, which is a very handy number. A very handy number indeed. I think my link tweet has actually failed. That would be a shame. Oh well. We do what we can. Jared says, new background theme I'm seeing. Yes, indeed. Sai built this one for me, and there's a number of others that you guys are going to see. I'll tell you that. For example, it's been tweaked slightly since, but we've got the SmackDown overlay. Now, it's been tweaked slightly since, as I said. We will see more of that in the future. There's also a really, really nice looking Hell in a Cell overlay that Sai's made that I'm very excited to break out. Spider-Boss says, I think Sheet may leave AEW soon, if not already. Austin says, is it true Finn turning heel? Saw a report about him joining Edge. You saw that report from Brad Shepard, and if you've followed the Discord, you'll be fully aware of my thoughts on that. It's a forever report. It's eventually, maybe 2 years from now, Finn Balor turns heel, and someone goes, I was right all along. It's a forever report. Tommy says, WWE is smart, treating Cody well to bring in the top AEW stars. Just like they did with top WCW stars, history is repeating itself. They did not treat the top WCW stars very well. Booker T immediately lost the championship upon joining the WWE. Diamond Dallas Page was a stalker and not a great thing. The entire alliance was helmed by Steve Austin, who was a WWE talent, and wrestlers such as Sting were turned off from WWE purely for the sake of it. Purely for the sake of it. Jared says, any Roman on tonight's Raw? Unlikely. Roman Reigns, as we know, is on a limited date contract at the moment, and that does create its own issues. There is a focus on SmackDown at the moment. When it comes to Raw, we are likely to see the Usos, but not likely to see Roman Reigns, particularly with the limited dates that he now works. KJ says, Meltzer at the moment is complaining about how when WWE sells out it's great, but when AEW sells out it's scalpers. There is plentiful evidence of some serious scalpers when it comes to AEW selling tickets. He shouldn't be ignoring that. However, a sellout is a sellout. It should be celebrated. We just have to put it into a little bit of context. Even if it's only 2% scalpers, we still have to highlight that fact. Spider-Ball says, any real chance of Moxley returning to WWE? Once again, yes, there is a chance of Moxley returning to WWE. However, there is also a chance of Moxley remaining in AEW, and there is also a chance of Moxley going elsewhere after leaving AEW, for example, New Japan. I will say this as many times as I need to, just to be clear. When I report news, I state many things as fact. I've, in fact, given a lot of details about the WWE's approaches recently for certain wrestlers, but obviously I have to be very careful what I say as regards that, because there are potential legal ramifications when it comes to what I report in that regard. So Matthew Pace, who's trolling in the YouTube section, maybe consider the fact that I know how to do my job and you should shut the hell up. Sai says, I'm not sure I understand the connection between AEW's profitability and interest from the TV companies. Are they looking for assurance that AEW will stay in business? Largely, yes, and not necessarily just stay in business, but when it comes to turning a profit, it means that they are bringing in something that's actually going to have long-term value. Now, obviously, long-term value is something that is very worthwhile. It means that they're going to go from strength to strength. It means that the viewership is going to increase. So if you're not making money now, when the companies, the TV companies give you a big deal and you basically use that as your only real source of income, as it were, that is going to create problems going forwards, particularly when you consider Jon Moxley is on $6 million right now. You've got CM Punk on $3 million. These are obviously going to take effort and money to go. TV companies don't want to be your only source of income. They want you to be able to survive without them before they're willing to invest in that. Now, Matthew Pace, let's go into some detail here. You're right, I'm not Andrew Zarian, but 2 days before he reported about the Unified Championship being done separately and making it up as they go along, who reported it? Me. 3 days before Sean Ross Sapp reported that Ronda Rousey was being approached by the WWE for a return. Guess who reported it? Me. 3 weeks before Sean Ross Sapp reported about CM Punk negotiating with AEW. Guess who reported it? Me. Sean Ross Sapp, Andrew Zarian, neither of them did report that Becky Lynch was going to be back before SummerSlam when she returned. Guess who did? Me. So if you would like to continue sit there and trolling and basically embarrassing yourself in front of everyone here, what I would advise you to do instead is either stop wasting your own time, you're choosing to be here, giving me views, giving me chat rate, helping the channel grow, thank you for that very much, or what you could do is look back through the YouTube videos and see all of the reports. For example, the Alexa Bliss report, which I reported, which neither of the people that you mentioned reported, stating exactly when she would return, exactly why she had not returned previously, and exactly in context her previous appearance at Elimination Chamber. So I strongly advise you to consider the point of your life, because at the moment nobody's listening to you, just like nobody has ever listened to you. You have no value here, just like you have no value anywhere else, and it's sad that this is the only way you can make people pay attention to you. Cheers, mate. Bailey says Chris Jericho will return to WWE before Jon Moxley does. Very possible. Chris Jericho is a journeyman. He tends to go from one to the other, as it were. And AEW, while he's launched it, and it's a real advantage to him to have that in his back pocket, he always has the advantage to basically be able to say, hey Vince, I want to come back for a year. Vince would absolutely do whatever it took. Vince McMahon had a big push to get Cody Rhodes. Just to be absolutely clear, given what's happening in the chat, I was the first person to report 2 weeks ahead of the people that you mentioned that Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins would be the WrestleMania match. When it comes to Chris Jericho, he's another potential founder. that the WWE would love to bring in just as a way of saying, I got another founder. They all want to come back to us. They all want to come back to us. So that is something that we all have to consider when it comes to Chris Jericho, because if at any point he wants to come back to the WWE would definitely want him. Just for anyone who's not aware on YouTube, there are plenty of people who will jump into this chat, try and cause trouble, click the dislike button. You can counter that by hitting that thumbs up. We have 11 likes at the moment, as we have 29 viewers. A few more will increase viewership and keep us going and growing. So please do consider hitting that thumbs up. It would be a huge help to me and the growth of the channel. KJ says, speaking of CM Punk, do you remember when Punk mentioned WWE reached out to him but they play games? Do you know what happened there? I don't think that's entirely the story. That's certainly not what WWE has said. The WWE basically said he was moving the goalposts, which was consistent and especially proven by the fact that shortly after I said that he was negotiating with WWE moving the goalposts and with AEW not moving the goalposts, he turned up in AEW. Alyssa says, want to see the Shield triple threat? Not Sean. Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns versus Jon Moxley in the Money in the Bank in WrestleMania main event. I mean, I'd be very, very happy with it. I thought the triple threat, the Shield triple threat that we had previously was good, but I certainly think we can do better. Spider-Boss would love to see Thunder Rosa versus Bayley. Me too, mate. KJ says maybe WWE wants Rosa so she can help expand from the Latino side, much like Ray, and certainly like Bad Bunny as well, worth mentioning. Sean says Cameron Grimes versus Carmelo. Hey, that's I don't know what the result will be in NXT. I'm not a big watcher. Jaden says, hey Tom. Brandon says, sorry to be a pain, but you missed my chat. Fair enough, Brandon. I will happily read that here. Good evening, mate. Sorry for not making it last night. I was unfortunately working. No need to apologise, mate. Excited for tonight's spoiler warning, however, and of course the launch of Colihue Gaming. Indeed, we will be talking about Colihue Gaming a little bit later on today. AA Ron says, prayers go out to Jim Duggan. His cancer has returned, and I absolutely understand anyone who is sending their praise in that way. Spider-Boss says, how long will last the Liv Morgan versus Rhea feud on Raw? Haven't technically started yet, just to be clear. It will be done and dusted before SummerSlam. Ring Scoop says, Tom, get the tables. Welcome, Ring Scoop. How you doing, mate? And Spider-Boss says, WWE made WCW young talent as Big Show and Jericho become stars. Jericho came this close to being fired, just to be clear on that one. The big selling point in that regard was Eddie Guerrero and name redacted. KJ says, as we know, Mox is getting $6 million on AEW. How much do you think it asks for now if it was to go up? I absolutely cannot answer that question. Absolutely cannot answer. That is entirely down to him. I've been given absolutely no indication whatsoever of his mind. I am not in direct contact with him. I have no way of stating. Ring Scoop says, Mox is getting paid more than Punk. He is. He's getting paid double what CM Punk is getting paid at the moment from the sources that we've been able to glean. Ring Scoops, if you're not already aware, I don't know if this was mainly a YouTube thing. We have on YouTube at the moment a AEW financial analysis, all heavily sourced, many links in the chat just to cover all the information, where we examine exactly what the situation is and why I'm able to sit here and say AEW ain't making money at the moment. Sai says, perfect, thanks for answering that question, Tom, appreciate it. Thanks, Sai. Cheers. Jonathan Rodriguez says, not sure exactly when Mox's AEW contract expires, but I would imagine he will 100% want to work the Forbidden Door pay-per-view before leaving. Certainly a possibility. Jon Moxley is one of those that he feels a lot of loyalty to companies. He will happily work a little bit over if it's agreed, much like Adam Cole or Daniel Bryan did, or in fact he himself did upon leaving the WWE. Alyssa says, do you agree with me, Cody Rhodes in Roman Reigns is most over character in WWE right now? Roman Reigns definitely. Cody Rhodes maybe. I do feel there's a little bit left to do when it comes to Cody. I don't feel he's quite landed with the heat that I would personally expect, but there is time for that to build. Bailey says, Roman Reigns is probably available for Raw. He appeared at a Fox broadcast event in New York today, known as Upfronts, where major advertisers are pitched for 2022-2023 sales. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be there. Just because he's there doesn't mean they have the room on his contract. It is limited date. They now have to pick and choose. Sean says, saw this in the Rumour Roundup today. According to WrestlingNews.co, there have been pitches made to WWE to overhaul the presentation of Madcap Moss. This includes removing his comedy elements as well as giving him new ring gear and entrance music. And I think absolutely that is a very valuable thing. Madcap Moss, as he is now, is not strong. It's not a strong character. It's not a character that I can say I'm particularly invested in. It's not a character that I can say hold particular value to me. It's just one of those that there definitely needs to be a lot more work and a lot more effort going into this. Rinsky says, Tom with a mic drop, hell yeah. I may have recently learned a little bit about, dealing with hecklers. Poor guy. I feel bad for him. Like, this is a highlight of his week. This is the most important thing that's happened to him in weeks. This is all he's got. Randy Sam, welcome to the show, says, sup, Tom? We all need to stop and grow up because Tom is legit. Talked about the release and also Stu Grayson being let go. Very true. When it comes to the contract ending in AEW, first one to report it, spoke about a wide variety of people and spoke about it way ahead of time. This is my favourite thing. I always love when a troll comes in, tries desperately to get me to respond, then they're like, oh, you're triggered. Great. Well done. Success. You've done so well. You should be so proud of yourself. No, seriously, you should be really proud of yourself. I know no one's ever told you that before, but you should be so proud. Spider-Boss says, Sasha winning at Mania this year. Who said it? Tom freaking Collihew. Roman is undisputed champion at Mania, and Tom freaking Collihew said it first. Very true. Even while he wasn't necessarily the favourite, the betting favourites did have Brock Lesnar. But it was always going to be Roman. Hey, Dimitar, how you doing, right? How you doing, mate? Randy says, Tom is right. He's the one who talked about the Mania backlash. Also said Bloodline is winning. So I says, SRS has got bigger problems than the number of Tom subscribers. Hack Twitter account my ass. Just going to move on from there. Jaden says, any Sasha or Bayley news? Nothing significant at this point other than what I've already discussed as to the return schedule of Bayley. Dimitar saying he's literally reported things correctly multiple times. I always very much love it when someone says, you've got no proof. No, what's happened is you haven't looked. I do have plenty of proof. It's all on this YouTube channel. The bare basics of effort, and you found plenty of proof. Plenty of evidence. It's all here. Spider-Boss says, if Jericho ever returns to WWE, can he be a big return like Hogan in 2002? I didn't really value Hogan's return in 2002, but to be honest, I was sick of Hogan way before we got to WrestleMania 9. Way before. Austin says, Tom put him in his place? Yeah, absolutely. Poor guy's going to shrink back and be embarrassed for a while, yeah. Randy says, even Vince said in the podcast with Pat McAfee, he said, you can bring anybody back. Yeah, you absolutely can bring anybody back. That match, of course, the Pat McAfee match, it was supposed to be Austin Theory and Shane McMahon way back when. So I said, I don't normally acknowledge troll, but for fuck's sake, that was a burn and a half from Tom. Blew my coffee out listening to that. Oh, bless you. I'm glad everyone is enjoying the entertainment level at the stream. This is why trolls aren't the worst thing in the world. They provide lovely pathos? I don't know. You don't feel anything for them, just pity. Noob says, I'm definitely looking to see Hikaru Shida leaving AEW and go to WWE, help out the Japanese side of WWE. I don't think there's necessarily a Japanese side, but there certainly is a contingent. Simon says, your score predictions for Liverpool versus Southampton. 4-1 Liverpool. They're going to be going absolutely for it, ham. Dimitar says, for a moment I thought the comment about his life was too much, but nah, dude was annoying AF. Well, he's back now. So, you can determine whether you feel that is too much. Ringskew says, if you don't have haters, you're doing it wrong. That's how I've looked at the last 2 decades. Someone with a lot more experience than me, Ringskew has been doing this a long time, so nothing but respect for that comment right there, mate. Thank you kindly. Simon says, it's Athena debuting on AEW Wednesday night as a Joker. Not sure, genuinely not sure. I don't have that much when it comes to contacts in AEW. I genuinely don't. So it's why I was quite excited to be able to report the news that I've reported today. Spider-Boss says, who do you think will win the MJF versus Wardlow feud? While this is supposed to build Wardlow with the contract situation of MJF right now, it does seem to me like they're going to be trying whatever they can to ensure that MJF he's feeling good about his whole situation. Now, there's still a while for his contract to run. It's not a situation that he'll turn up in WWE by the end of the year, nothing like that. So I do feel MJF will pick up the win. As I've been saying for a while now, I'm confident that MJF is going to be our next AEW World Champion. Sean says WWE also, so not WWE, WON, so Wrestling Observer, also said in the rumor roundup there are talks in WWE to split Ray and Dominic again. I've been hearing this report for the last week or so. Not originally from Dave Meltzer either. Not originally from him. See, here comes the hypocrisy. Matthew Pace saying, you don't know me, so shut your mouth. You've literally come in here and been a complete dick, and now you're offended. Shut up, Snowflake. Fuck your feelings. Brandon says, speaking of Randy, do you believe he's maybe more appreciated now, more than ever, now that Cena isn't active anymore? And the fact that he always finds a way to reinvent himself with what he's got going on with Riddle right now. It took Randy a while to start that process of reinvention. He was a legend killer for a long time, and then ultimately chose not to kill the Undertaker legend, which was set up so nicely for him. So nothing but respect to him for that. But when it comes to that going forwards, as it were, I think Randy Orton right now is the best he's ever been. Randy Orton has been used tremendously during the entire empty arena era. And since pairing up in RK Bro, which is something he wanted to happen, it's just been a wonderful time. It's not just that, it's also about the people that he's choosing to work with. I've spoken about Roman trying to get a match going with Matt Riddle before SmackDown, when we then had Matt Riddle attacking Roman Reigns, sort of triggering that one to start. But in addition to all of that, when it comes to Randy Orton, for example, he really wanted to work with Chad Gable. So when the Street Profits stepped into that match, I was reporting, no, it's not just going to be the Street Profits Alpha Academy getting back into it, because Randy Orton wanted that to happen. Sean says, do we think Alexa has a rematch with Sonya or has a segment tonight? Not sure yet. There hasn't been a segment list leaked or shared as is at the moment. I'm waiting for more information on that one, but we'll see how it goes. And Jeff says, sup Tom, how you feel about Adam Cole in AEW? Do you think he should leave? Because I think he's better in Impact. In AEW, so weird, and I can't believe I'd say this. Cole was better in NXT. I haven't really seen enough of Adam Cole, but I think he may be having more fun there. That said, he was a proper locker room leader in NXT. He absolutely was in charge, and that's a very, very good thing, a really valuable thing that they lost in NXT. I feel the best is very much yet to come. Very much yet to come. So I'm waiting for that moment, just waiting for the moment when Adam Cole sort of explodes onto the scene in AEW, because that moment is coming. Matthew Pace now, waiting for my address so that he can threaten physical violence. Your argument is tremendous, so tremendous. You're going to be like, ha, I can beat you up. What are you, 7? Possibly? No, you are, aren't you? You're 7. I feel bad now because you're clearly a 7-year-old. Like, you're ignoring everything I say just to say, ha, but I'm tougher than you. Yeah, I'm going to beat you up. Are you going to send your dad after me? Do you even have a dad? Let's be honest, probably not. You probably don't have anyone. Again, I'm feeling bad. I feel bad. This is the most anyone's spoken to you in about 5 years. Hey, Floodwater, how you doing, mate? Simon says, Tom reported Sasha would be Women's World Tag Team Champion at WrestleMania 38. I did indeed. Floodwater says, have you any news on all of the rumours of Roman not being around much this summer? Roman Reigns will be around plenty this summer, I promise you that. We will see him for Money in the Bank and SummerSlam. Possibly not for the UK show. I'm still waiting on confirmation for that. But the rumours that he's going to be taking a massive period of time off are completely untrue. Jonathan says, has Sheeta's contract run out? For that previous question to be asked. No, not to my knowledge, but a number of AEW wrestlers don't have long-term contracts. Particularly the people who wrestle quite a lot elsewhere. If you just wrestle in AEW, you tend to have one long-term contract. Mostly if you're wrestling on Dynamite, week in, week out. But if you're a regular wrestler on Dark, chances are you're being paid per match. Spider-Boss says, any chance of Johnny Gargano being the Joker in Dynamite this Wednesday? Yes. That is certainly a strong possibility. When it comes to Candice LeRae, at this point, I'm told it's too early. Rocky Winner, welcome. Says, Tom, if Moxley goes back to WWE, could we see a Shield reunion? Not immediately. I think it's certainly a possibility that the WWE will go back to that but they are more interested in Jon Moxley than Dean Ambrose. Also, based on previous storylines, Roman Reigns has basically said goodbye to the Shield at this point. Basically said goodbye and put it to bed, as it were. This Seth Rollins and this Roman Reigns are not going to be teaming up anytime soon. This Jon Moxley, if he comes to the WWE, is certainly not going to be reuniting with them either. Ringskeep says, "You don't know me" is my favourite comeback. It goes both ways. It absolutely does. Bless. I'm on the screen. I'm right here. My name is right here. You want to find me, find me. But you know who we can't find? You. You're not on camera. You're not here doing anything. You're just sat behind a screen, just holding the camera held hostage and just, I hate things. I hate things. Well done. Well done. Please remember to like the video, because you got to counter the dislikes from that arsehole. Simon says, playing FIFA 22 season on Call of Duty Gaming, Tom. Not planning on it, particularly with FIFA changing tack, as it were. However, not necessarily against it. After all, I am planning a Call of Duty football eventually. Call of Duty Gaming, for anyone who doesn't know, will be launching formally this weekend coming. So we will have a Saturday show and a Sunday show, and going forwards there will be Sunday shows only for Call of Duty Gaming. We will be starting with The Last of Us Part 2. We will be going live on both Twitch and the Call of Duty Gaming channel, and then I will be taking the videos, breaking them down into the highlight reel. They will be going onto the Call of Duty Gaming channel, and all of the live shows will be delisted when that happens. Ghost of Nay has given us a new subscription on Twitch. That is the 11th month in a row. Thank you, Ghost. Says, "Hi, Tom and chat. Hope everyone's doing well except for the trolls. They can not so kindly fuck off." They can indeed. Welcome, Ghost. How you doing? Great to see you. Tommy B says, "Matthew just got owned." Dimitar says, "Tom, here's a question for you. Outside of the well-known ones, Sasha, Roman, Becky, who do you see making it big outside WWE?" Now, I would say Alexa Bliss there just because you haven't, though I do think she is one of the well-known ones, as it were. Further down the card, there's a number of people who have had offers made. I'm going to throw out one of the ones that people don't expect to hear, but who has actually had offers to be in smaller movies. Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin has had offers. Jeff Samuel says, "Randy, remind me of Edge right now. He built new stars by rebuilding guys and also reinvented his character like what Jericho tries to do as his wizard gimmick and help Daniel Garcia." Edge is still doing it. Now, admittedly, Edge went through a different period. A very different period, as it were, when it comes to what he was and what he is now. When he first came back to the WWE, his character was just sort of happy to be back. That was sort of his whole character. But I'm very much happy now that we have an evolution of the character. Ed, can you kick the troll out, please? Why are we wasting our time with this? Just kick the troll. I mean, it's really simple. Journalists should work together. If you expect one person to have all the news, you haven't been paying attention. You haven't been paying attention. Douglas Bino says, "Is WWE interested in Hangman Page?" Kind of. Not for the big money, as it were. There is some interest, but not for the big money. It's mostly to take one away from AEW. Spider-Boss says, "Adam Cole was a star in NXT and now in AEW. He hasn't been the guy as he used to be Triple H in WWE. There are more people at the top when it comes to AEW. If, for example, we have Adam Cole moving up to the main roster in WWE, he would have been a smaller fish in a big pond than he was when he was in NXT. Floodwater says, "Are you going to the UK show?" Probably not, no. Simon says, "Sasha on Kevin Hart's Ice Balls podcast tomorrow." Ice Balls? They call it Ice Balls. Interesting. Jeff Samuel says, "Tom is the guy that is on WWE radar. If you can tell me, thanks." And his Ricky Starks leaving AEW. There's a number of people that I've already mentioned is on WWE's radar. Certainly a number of people that have already left the company. But already left WWE, I should say. But what I did want to point out is there is definitely interest in Thunder Rosa. Sean says, "I think Cesaro will be the Joker for Samoa Joe, and Athena or Cassie or Jessie is the women's Joker. Cassie and Jessie are taking time off at the moment. They are very, very unlikely. Also, AEW have already turned down the opportunity to sign them in the past." Jess says, "Tom going annoyed and hyper and Wild Thing music plays at SummerSlam." I'm not going to sit here and say this is going to happen or that's going to happen if I don't know. I know that clearly annoys some people if I don't sit here and say, yeah, on like June 17th, the championship's going to go to this person. On September 23rd, it's going to go to this person. Some people just want you to bleed. But if I don't know something, Spider-Boss says, do you know why the Inspiration, formerly known as Iconics, left Impact Wrestling? I don't know the full details, but I do know that there are offers and opportunities available to them that were not available when they left WWE, and there is interest in pursuing outside interests than wrestling. The next time we see them, we will not see them in a wrestling ring. We will see them in another manner. Simon says, do you Double J Jeff Jarrett Slapnuts, returning back home to Impact for Slammiversary in June? Yeah, he has to. He absolutely has to. I mean, he's the guy, as it were. Jonathan Rodriguez says, I'm interested in Io Shirai, massive fan of hers, hoping she's main roster bound with her name intact. I don't feel they would change her name at this point, but it's WWE. They could just call her Shirai. Or Io. It's not awful. It's not awful. But when it comes to the main roster, it's really down to WWE at this point. We're still waiting for them to just do it. They haven't done it yet. Randy believes that Bianca Belair is going to Hollywood, no question. I don't think the time is right now. I'm not aware of any offers being made for her. Not impossible, though. Simon says, where do you think Kurt Angle will go next, if anywhere? I think much like Ric Flair, there's nowhere that wants him that he wants to go. There's nowhere the two are meeting in the middle. It's like old theme park when you did that, when you were meeting with the unions and it was a case of, I've almost seen all the biscuits, guys. Someone's got to go. Someone's got to go. They haven't really hit the ground running on that one yet. From where he is and what he's been before, I see him turning up at the Impact show, the TNA show, as it were, because he was a big deal there and really helped them way back when, and I think he can add a lot to it. Jermaine says, can't wait to see Roman lose both titles, so the stupid unification storyline would finally be over with. Don't care what anybody says, it's not really good for business. I would like to see a WWE Championship back on WWE Raw. It annoys me that we haven't already got that. Yes, Ed, I do, even though you delete them on my stream service, I do still have the messages. So I saw what you said and I decided to just read the message anyway. But appreciate you apologising. I've done that before where I've accidentally banned people and then not known how to undo it. It's awkward. Spider-Boss says, Edge has always been better as a heel. I missed the Edge heyday, so I've not seen enough of it, but I do agree. Jermaine says, to me, the unification storyline with the Bloodline is a lazy storyline because you're not caring about a ton of wrestlers, just a select few, and that doesn't help grow the brand. You're not wrong there, particularly now that both tag team championships are swallowed up in this. I do think Naomi will get a boost if she goes to the Bloodline, as is being discussed by creative right now, but I'm just waiting to see if they can spread them out, because Undisputed Bloodline may be coming, but I would rather them spread it out as well, Jermaine. I want Roman to lose his championship soon. Pardon me. Ideally, I want him to have neither championship before Survivor Series. He definitely can't have both by Survivor Series, I'll tell you that. Douglas Pino is excited by the idea of Hangman versus Seth Rollins. KJ says, I think the AEW Joker for women will be someone already contracted. I can't see Britt Baker losing in the first round clean. Well, she has been doing a few favours recently. She hasn't been doing all the favours, but she has been doing a few. KJ says, Joe can lose via distraction as he's feuding with 3 guys. I mean, that's Samoa Joe though, isn't it? He can feud with half the roster and still be like, yeah, but I want a championship. Spider-Boss says, I think Vince would love to have Wardlow since he loves big guys as top stars. He's been moving away from that recently, and I think that needs to be highlighted. He has been moving away pretty firmly from the whole, Vince McMahon likes big sweaty men business, towards a much more inclusive and open environment, while you've still got the land of the giants, as it were, your Bobby Lashley's, your Drew McIntyre's and the like. For every Omos, there's an AJ Styles, and he did love Daniel Bryan. Like, I'm talking truly, madly, deeply. KJ says, did you hear about Ric Flair returning to the ring? Confirmed by Rick himself. Yes. Nobody book this man. This is my message and my hope to the wrestling world. Don't book Ric Flair. Just don't do it. Don't do it. It's not a good thing for anyone. Simon says, Bianca is going Hollywood already, always busy and booked. She was at NBC Universal up front today with The Miz representing Raw. They fly to Raw for tonight. That's not necessarily Hollywood, but certainly that means they feel she's a very marketable talent, and she is. Floodwater agrees Edge is best as a heel, but not a fan of the current gimmick. I'm interested to know why, Floodwater. If you can give us a bit more detail. I'm really enjoying this particular character shift. Is there something in particular? Nelson says, I would love to see a WWE and Impact partnership, but won't happen. It won't. The idea from a WWE standpoint is that they're the biggest show in town. If they work with people lower down, it looks like they need help. And they want the image of never needing help and support. Even though they did reach out to New Japan to try and convince Daniel Bryan to stay with the company, it was more for Daniel Bryan going there than New Japan talent coming to WWE. Spider-Boss says, is it me, or have the women's tag team titles had more TV time than Bianca? The women's tag team titles have had more TV time, primarily because they're on two brands. Bailey says, Ric Flair is now promoting a last match at the end of July. Yep, it's definitely going to be his last match, one way or the other. Simon says, was the Adam Cole managing Keith Lee on the WWE main roster report true, Tom, from last year? No. There was consideration of different options for Adam Cole, but he was never scripted or planned to manage Keith Lee. LA Knight, however... Sean says, Kevin Owens said most of the talent in WWE wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Triple H. That is absolutely true. Particularly talent from, for example, Ring of Honor, from the indie scene. That was brought in by Triple H. That was attracted by Triple H. That was held tight by Triple H. The fact that he didn't let them go, that was the main reason that NXT was as successful as it was. Triple H deserves a hell of a lot of credit, and I know he already gets a lot of credit. He deserves even more. Sean says, since Vince was a big fan of Daniel Bryan, how come he couldn't get him to re-sign? Daniel Bryan just wasn't interested. It really comes down to this. Daniel Bryan's interest was not money. It wasn't. If you've already got money and you don't want money, Vince McMahon doesn't hold any sway. Daniel Bryan had already done everything he could do in WWE. He wanted to leave and wrestle different people. He didn't necessarily even just want to go to AEW. He wanted to travel. He wanted to wrestle all over the place. He wanted the Forbidden Door. AEW promised him that was in the works, and here they are delivering. Here they are. Jared says, what are you drinking? It's Coke Zero, mate. It's Coke Zero. Nothing fancy, nothing alcoholic. It is a Monday night and I do have work in the morning. I had a couple of drinks earlier, but I've had long enough that they've worn off now. Went out for a couple of games of pool with a friend. Simon believes it's Cesaro the men's Joker. Spider-Boss says, do you see Alexa as manager of Nikki Ash and Doudrop soon? I hope so. Once again, this is wishful thinking on my part. I feel she would add a lot to the whole concept of Nikki Cross and Doudrop as a team. That really works for me, and I'd really like to see that as a unit. I have high hopes. Sean says, I do believe Adam Cole denied the rumours of managing Keith Lee. He did indeed. Sean says, no purple cans. Nope, that would be cherry Coke. I'm just on Coke Zero at this moment in time. Too much sugar and I won't sleep. I'm trying to work out my sleeping pattern because I'm terrible. Floodwater has responded to my question. Edge is my favourite of all time, but I'm not a fan of the whole supernatural gimmicks, with Taker being the exception. I had a strong dislike to The Fiend and such gimmicks. Edge is the ultimate opportunist. Okay, I completely understand what you're saying, particularly because I do remember you saying about disliking The Fiend and Undertaker being the exception in times you've been here previously. I completely understand where you're coming from. Personally, I do disagree, but we are in a world right now, particularly the Tom Colohue channels. My name is up there. I do still have to do that. Still have to do that. When it comes to this particular channel, we do agree to disagree, and I certainly can agree to disagree on that one. I was a fan of The Fiend, but I was more a fan of Bray Wyatt than The Fiend. Jermaine says, when Cody Rhodes wins a title from Roman, will he have a bigger Homelander feel to him or a Sting feel to him? Me, I would love a Homelander feel because that will truly be awesome. Sting. He will have the Sting feeling while he's feuding with Roman. There is a heel turn planned for Cody, at which point he will go Homelander. You heard it here first, folks. There is a heel turn planned for Cody Rhodes. It's just a way down the road yet. Think of it like when CM Punk held the championship and he turned heel halfway through. Homelander. Sean says, Paige said she wants to manage Ronda Rousey, and that would be absolutely awesome. I would absolutely love that. I don't think WWE are interested in getting Paige back on TV for that. She wants to wrestle, and I don't feel she's going to come back to the WWE because they won't let her. Spider-Boss says, I used to like the black and gold NXT, had a cool women's division. Now NXT 2.0 is focusing too much on Toxic Attraction. Now, agree and disagree. Now, obviously, Toxic Attraction are at the top, and that's great. But they do use a lot of other women on the show. Even though they've released some recently, some very, very talented people, they are still featuring a lot of women, as Ed, I'm sure, will key you in. It seems like every week they're in double figures for women featured, which I don't think happens on any other mixed gender wrestling show. Simon wants me to play a Football Manager 23 season on Call of Duty Gaming. Well, Simon, I do play Football Manager on stream. Now, I'm still waiting on a graphics card. There's been some financial problems, but I've got the promotion now, so to be blunt there, I've had a promotion that's helped me out a little bit in that regard. At which point, Football Manager may well be returning. So, Simon, if you're a fan of Football Manager and the like, you should definitely subscribe to Call of Duty Gaming. Spider-Boss says, recently, and I've already read that one about Paige, that Sean said. Simon says, how do you feel AEW's usage of Sting so far as in his run there, Tom? To interpret that, I think Sting's been used very well. He's wrestled very few matches, it's felt like a big deal, and he's been used to add more gravitas to everything else. Floodwater says, how has Paige survived mass releases? Because the WWE don't want her to go elsewhere and immediately become a big deal. Spider-Boss says, I wonder why WWE won't let Paige wrestle again. Primarily because the doctors won't clear her. She is not allowed to wrestle again via the WWE's health and wellness policy. It's not a choice from Vince McMahon saying, I don't want her to wrestle. He wants her as a wrestler. It just doesn't matter. The doctors won't clear her. She will not wrestle. Ed says, and if you want to hear more about what Ed thinks on NXT 2.0, cough, Ring Scoops on YouTube on Wednesdays, cough. Yeah? No? Cough, Ring Scoops. By all means, check out the Ring Scoops YouTube channel where Ed provides NXT 2.0 reviews every week. Simon says, Kevin Hart's podcast is celebrity sports star interviews and ice baths. Ooh, no thank you. Sai says, Football Manager takes up far too much of my time. I have seen you playing that in the Discord recently. It's pretty cool. And Brandon says, how do you think the AEW video game will do? Well, I think it'll be a hell of a seller. I think it'll absolutely smash it. And I think it will briefly make AEW a profit, at which point they'll start focusing on next year. Because there is definitely a strong Venn diagram featuring AEW and gaming. Very strong. Jeff says, wait, Tom, WWE is interested in Sting? So we got that Sting versus Taker? Woo! One of the best things about these shows, is because a lot of what I report doesn't go far and wide, every now and then I love that we just make jokes about putting words in my mouth, and I read them out. There is genuinely a possibility that certain people, particularly those of bad faith, come in here, take what I say out of context, take clips from the show of me, for example, reading that, Jeff, and say, oh look, Tom Collier reported that Sting was coming back, and it becomes uproar. That would be hilarious to me. I would find that brilliant, because the only thing that I am interested in is providing news and entertainment for the people here. I don't give a damn about people who don't come here. I don't give a damn about people who have been throwing abuse at anyone who doesn't report every single thing. I don't give a damn about the bad faith people who are just desperate to tear others down. I give a damn about the people who are here, who listen, and who know what I report, how often I report it, and just how good my record is. Hey John, how you doing? Says, hey Tom, happy Monday. And happy Monday to you, John. Great to see you. It says the AEW video game is apparently problematic depending on what some close to the situation are saying. Ooh. Okay, I'll wait and see more information on that one. I'll do a bit of digging. And Sean says, we are entertained by you, Tom. Thank you, Sean. Appreciate that. We are 4 minutes to the hour and we are out of questions. With this in mind, I am going to wrap up. If you haven't done so, please do remember to hit like on the video. It does help with viewership after the fact. So I'll gain an extra 100 or so views if I get up to, say, 20 likes or so. We're currently at 14. There's 26 people here. If we get up to 20, that just guarantees me more viewership going forwards. And of course, the overall success of the channel is a big help in that one as well. If you haven't already done so, please press subscribe. And please do remember, on Saturday and on Sunday, we will be doing gaming streams on the Colihew Gaming channel of The Last of Us Part 2. Until then, our next show on this channel will be on Friday, spoiler warning, and the SmackDown watch along. Until then, thank you everybody for your time. Thank you everybody for your questions. I've been Tom Colihew. Even the trolls have been fantastic. And I'll see you all very soon.